And I still miss that mic or the speakers every time. So anyway, there we go. We're back. Hi, welcome to Pieces of Pat Paints. I'm Pat. We paint pieces here, paint all sorts of pieces. If you missed yesterday's show, we painted something a little different. We painted a Funko Pop, which is wild. We added some little details to it. It turned out really well. So that's cool. And you know, oh, let me get this mic over here a little closer too. Yep, that'll help, right? I think that makes it better. Should help get it a little bit more volume out of my voice, so I don't have to try to yell across the room, which is great. Although I'm fairly used to yelling across rooms. I was in the kitchen for a long time, so if you don't know that about me, you haven't been watching this show, and you're new, which is great. So welcome aboard. We love new folks, and if you are new and you like what you see, later on maybe hit the like and subscribe button down there at the bottom. That'd be awesome. We would really appreciate that. That kind of helps, keep me motivated and keep me moving and getting stuff going. Ow! No, smack that thing over there in the kids' studio. I keep the paper towels right above the kids' studio because, like, kids and paper towels. So, So this, hey, this is going to be the last week where we're a little bit down on our upstream availability. We're supposed to get Cox in here. So starting next week, we'll have should be having a much better system. Things should be going a lot better. Anyway, since we finished up the Funko Pop, we are back onto our Tyranid work. So we're heading over to the Screamer Killer, and I'm already starting to kind of think about what I want to do with this one's base. And since he looks like he's got some sort of terrain and pipe here, I'm thinking we may want to actually bring him up a step and maybe put more broken road parts or something like that underneath him, like he's coming up a road. But I think that one's going to be a little bit easier. We should be able to just do that with some foam core or something like that. Something that's going to look good. And we're going to get to that later. We're not terribly worried about it. Ooh. I do want to poke this guy out. And as much as I like using this hewers, this thing is still the superior tool. Punch these thing right out of here. So, get old Rattler back to work here. Here's some, one of the posts that we nipped off is inside it. And you can hear it, it's like a rattle. So I think his name is definitely going to be Rattler. He can rattle his tail. That's funny. Well, it's funny to me. I don't know if it's funny to anybody else. Don't suppose it matters, really. Hopefully it's funny to other people. And they come along and they see what we're all about. And they come and have a good time. So, alright. I'm always still adjusting this camera. I really want to get to where it sets up just right. And I can see it. And that's the big part. Getting it adjusted and getting it to where I can see it. Alright, I think that's going to be pretty good. I can see pretty good there. And it looks like it's in pretty good shape. Oh, hello, my friend. Welcome back. How is everything in France? All right, let's see. Okay, I saw a piece that had these little parts lit up, so we're definitely going to do that later. Right now, we're going to try and get back to getting all the Naples yellow touched up so we can do a wash. And that's the main idea, is getting to the ability to do a wash on it so that we can put the next step in. I don't want to make this easy on myself, so I'm just going to give myself just a little bit of work on these joints and stuff like that. We are going to come back and do a lot of other fade work and paint like that, or things like that. Blah, blah, blah. So we want to work some of this very carefully. But some of this we don't have to worry too much about. But any places where it's like that, where it's completely, the paint's completely gone. Everything good. Wine, sun, soul. Hey, that's it, brother. I like it. I like it. I definitely enjoy all of those things. So, yeah, any of these spots we've got a little bit of mist paint from the, or maybe where we hit it a little too dark with a color we didn't want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. And we can, again, we're going to do that same kind of blend effect on a lot of this. So it's not going to make that much of a difference if we miss something, or if things aren't quite as perfect as we might want them to be. Now that needs to be magenta. And that's why we do this. You go over your work so that you can make sure you get everything right. And we want to try and get as much right before the wash as possible. That's the idea. Oh my goodness. Hello, Josh. Good to see you. Afternoon, can't listen right now. I'm watching while I Zoom meeting for work. Looks awesome. All right, man. Oh, I think I can just hit a button, huh? I don't know. Yeah. You guys, forgive me. I'm really bad with the... Oh no, I did something wrong. See, this is why I shouldn't be messing around with it. I'm just gonna give the thumbs up and I'm gonna get back to work because I messed all that up. I'm really bad with technology. Okay, at least it came back. Hallelujah. I was a chef for a long time. The gentleman who commented there, Josh Sylvester, was one of my students a long time ago. He's very talented chef, and he's pretty fast at butchering a chicken. Pretty darn fast. And I lost track of what I was doing because that was so exciting. It's always nice to see my former students. I had to quit my restaurant, so I So now I do this instead, and I do commission art and commission stuff like that. But I have to stay out of the kitchen for a while, or at least probably forever, while we figure out what's going on, and maybe hopefully get my as many years on the planet as possible, and you know, have a good time. But yeah, it's always great to see my students. It's how I kind of feel like I'm living on, is through my students. And that's great. It really, I don't know, it's fun to know that I taught so many people, and a lot of folks I know they're in special places doing special things, and it just makes me feel good. I'm going to go a little bit that way. There we go. Golly, it's hard to get to where you guys can see that one. There we go. That's one of the interesting things about learning to do this on camera, is I have to learn how to paint certain things at an angle that isn't necessarily my natural angle. And I love the challenge of it. It's so unique. I love painting models anyway, but the idea of having to do it in a way that presents itself as a, I don't know, like a product or whatever, that's super interesting. I guess you'd call it a product, right? YouTubing is a product. Yeah, there we go. Good thing we came back and checked. See, I got missing some magenta in there. And in there. There we go. Nice tight little brush strokes. Whoop, little overkill. And that's okay. Like I said, we're gonna do a little bit of work on this later, blending wise, and things will look very different. The idea is to get all this the base markers down, so that we know what the color scheme needs to look like, and la 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 la, and then we'll hit it with the wash. My brain. Sometimes I get a little old in my head, and I don't think quite as well. All right. Okay. So got all his little doodads there. All his little doodads there. Just a little bit more right down in there. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to get it to where y'all can see that one. That one's deep in there. I'm just going to get it painted and not worry about the camera. And that's another thing I think I'm getting better with, is making that decision of when I just need to go ahead and let it get the job done and not worry about what you're seeing on the camera. So, and whoop, goodness sakes. That's the fun part about a live show. Anywho, like especially right here where we had to put that mold put on, we want to make sure we get that painted over before we put the before we put the wash on, because we want the wash to sit on top of this color, not on top of like black or whatever. And, you know, I'm not worried necessarily about the recesses, but I am worried about things like right here where it's going to be noticeable. I'm just going to pick that magenta up off there. Yep. Little ring around his tail. It's like a, I don't know, it looks like it has a stinger or something. It's really weird. Matter of fact, we're going to paint that stinger a different color just to give us that changeover. So we're going to go with our Payne's gray, like it's one of the hard weapon pieces. And that's the thing about theming out armies, is like there's a color scheme and a theme to the army. Oh shoot! Oof, got that right in time. I hate when I do that. Anyway, like I was saying, you want like a theme and a color scheme to the army. Like what's the idea? What's the point? We'll definitely be able to see it better when we do that. There we go. See what the definitions are. Yeah, that'll look fun as another one of these. To let that paint dry just a little bit. Yeah. It won't make much difference. We're not going to use it when we do the wash. It won't be the same wash, so it should be fine. Alright, well I think we could probably mix up some wash now. And let me do this elbow. Elbow should be magenta. Now that I'm looking at it. And again, this is why we're dipping around and doing that last check. I go through this every time. Matter of fact, I'm in final check of all these guys. I finally have them all out, and they've all got their first like round of checks, but I'm getting ready to go through their second round of checks and make sure everything's done before I start blending on all 40 termagants. There's a lot of these little guys, tons of these things. I was going through them last night until my eyes went cross. But it's going to be great when they're done. It's going to be really cool. Okay. So, we're talking about putting the wash on. Putting the kibosh on the wash. I don't think that's how that works, but I don't think that's how you use the word kibosh. But it's funny. So whatever. Okay. So, we want to get our raw umber and our burnt umber. Where'd that one go? Oh no, burnt umber. Burnt sienna. Where'd she go? Where'd it go? Burnt umber, burnt sienna. Or raw umber, and burnt sienna. We're going to show them just so we can make sure we're not mixing this up. What weird. Raw umber, burnt sienna. You'd think I know this since it's my own color scheme. I invented it. Sorta. It's a riff on something they do. It's like High Fleet Leviathan, but not exactly like High Fleet Leviathan. And I'm going to make a little bit extra of this because I got to do all those other termagants. And I've been waiting to make it on camera for you guys so that I could have it, so I can use it for all the other work I have to do. You know, just kind of make it once and make it show up. Kind of like I do with opening stuff up, or at least I try. Oh goodness, that one's on there. Where's the wrench? Here comes the gorilla again. That's how I know I'm being ungraceful, is when he comes flying down. My son that made that for me. One of my prized possessions. I have a lot of things that my kids gave me or made me up around here. It's kind of a dad thing, you know. We kind of all get that way. There we go. All right. Now, let me get our high quality AH2O upgrade. I wrote more stuff on my bottle and made it clearer so people could see. That way, no matter where I grab it, you kind of see, oh, that's water. Anyway, got little things I'm trying to get better at with the channel, and we'll just keep improving as we go. This should be everybody's goal in everything, right? You just improve a little bit over time in everything you do. Get better. At least I hope you want to. Be sad if you didn't. People should want to get better at something, even if it's just getting better at taking a nap. I like that idea. Or getting better at drinking wine. That sounds like fun. Get to really know your wines, and I know a lot about wine, but I don't know everything, that's for sure. As a chef, I spent a lot of time tasting wines. We tasted a lot of wines at all the restaurants I worked at. Sometimes too many, if I'm being honest. But that's good times. I like it. Make sure you got all that paint pretty much mixed in there. That's why you use this junk. I use this junk brush to do this. Oop. I'm not really worried about it. If I get a little bit of them mixed in there, it's going to be fine. They're going to be layered on top of each other anyway, so it'll be fine. Alright. Same thing here. Pull it up to the front and mix it. Like I said, I made a lot of wash here. I don't usually make this much at once unless I got a big job to do, and we got a big job. Like I said, I'm getting ready to do all those termagants. If it's not today, it'll be, or tonight, it'll be tomorrow morning or tomorrow night or something. So that's exciting. At least it's exciting to me. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get that just a little bit of shake so we don't get too much extra. If we've got paint stuck on it, we don't want that. We're going to take that guy and we're just going to kind of start painting over all the areas that are the yellow color, our Naples yellow. You see how that's just almost immediately bringing out a bunch of details for us. Boom, 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 boom. Easy peasy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Don't be afraid to get on the edges of it too. If it's okay if it gets in the magenta. I'm gonna come back later and probably do a Payne's gray on the magenta. We might do that today too. We might make that wash. Right now we want to get this dark raw umber in. I use the raw umber because it's an earthier tone, so it works well as the undercoat for fleshier things, as long as that fleshy is not too purple or too reddish, when it gets to like reddish, then it gets a little different. Might be a little heavy. And if you feel like it gets a little heavy, just clean off your brush and come dab off the excess. We don't necessarily want it pooling in the wrong places. So if you feel like you get a little heavy, like right there, that's a little heavy. So we dab that up, take all that off. So, well, not all of it. I'm going to take enough of it off to make it to where it looks the way you want it to. All right, all right. A little extra here, a little extra there. This is just going to help get all of the inner parts of things kind of filled in for us, is the idea. We're going to start creating a lot of depth. And that is exactly what something like this does. It's almost instant depth, because you're using, what we're using is the model itself to create the depth. Scene that I missed right there. That should be magenta. Yep. Looking good, looking good. Right, and a little bit on this too. So I'm not worried if I get onto that purple at all. That doesn't make any difference. It's going to get a way darker wash than this brown, so it'll be all right. And this may be the first. We may have to do this wash more than once. We may not. We'll have to wait and see how it sets itself up in there. It's already making that front look great. It just wants to hold it. It's just loving it, loving it. Like a pig in slop, just loving it. That's such an old saying. I still love it. But it's super old. Pig in slop. Most people don't even know anything enough about pigs anymore to know that they need slop. I'm hoping when I got that comment thing working again, it looks like it's working again. It might not be. I might have messed it up. I'm really bad with tech. Once I kind of figure out what not to do, I can do okay. But that's my key first. Is I got to learn what not to do first. Because I'm like, okay, well, don't do that. Oop. Sometimes same with art. Good thing about that is I'm going to hit it with that color later anyway. So, all right. And this is a way darker color. So it will overtake that pretty easily. And on here, we definitely want this, because this is where we're fading from one color to another anyway. So we're going to go ahead and really let it have it all the way through all here, especially these crevices. Not so much as seams. Luckily that seam gets pretty hidden. And we fix the ones that you see. Okay. Well, already half an hour. Wild. Time goes so fast when I'm doing this. I look up and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, it's only been like 5 minutes. I'm like, no, it's like 30. Oh, wow. Okay. So we gotta let him chill out for just a second. And dry up just a little bit. So we're gonna put him back down on his little base. We don't have to push him all the way in. Get on there. You just go in a little bit. Definitely felt my fingers going in the paint that time. Good thing I noticed it this time. Okay. So, yeah. We're going to let him dry for just a second. I'm going to take some drinks and some tasty beverages, which I recommend that you do that as well. He's over. Yeah. I'm glad. I'm really bad with typing. So, like, I totally didn't, I totally couldn't respond. I tried and I messed something up. Okay, so we're going to let that dry out just a little bit. I can mess with the levers, but I don't think I want to mess with the termagants. But those are so boring, I kind of do them off camera. I have to start doing something else. I guess I could work on some termagants. These guys are pretty interesting little guys. I'm trying to go through them and make sure I've got all their little parts done. It's such a time-consuming little thing, and it is kind of boring to watch, so I'm kind of like trying to do it off camera. But some of these places, it needs another coat of the Naples yellow, and the gun tops need to be done on some of them. Not that I have to do that before I put the wash on them, but so I'm kind of just trying to get the yellow and the magenta done so I can wash these guys and start really painting them. I should probably save one to do straight up on a video, but I probably won't. They're kind of, like I said, they're kind of boring. And they're fun to look at, but they're really boring as far as painting goes, because it's shock troops, and so there's so many of them. And you'll get kind of lost in doing them if you ever have to paint an army. But it is super important, and you want them to look super good. And now I got even more purpose because my daughter has decided she likes the Tyranids better than the Space Marines for now. So she might be playing this army, which is fun. Yes, these are Warhammer. They're for Warhammer 40K. So I love this story because it's fun. My kids, when I was picking through some stuff looking for miniature stuff because we were doing Dungeons and Dragons. So I needed something out of my old modeling boxes that I was like, oh, this would look great. Let's grab it. I know where it is. And so I was in these old modeling boxes, and my friend Chris, a long time ago, had given me 2 tanks, 2 Imperial Guard tanks for 40K. And they had just kind of sat in a box forever. And the boys found them, and they were like, oh my god, what is this? I was like, oh, that's for Warhammer 40K. And they were like, what is Warhammer 40K? And I was like, oh man. It's a crippling addiction for the rest of your life. And so they were like, we want to learn about it. So they decided that they wanted to play it. And my 2 younger boys, they're real into it. My middle boy is the most into it. He really digs it, and he knows all the lore and gets all the jokes, which is fun. He is a Space Wolf player, and my youngest is a Necron player. And they each have their little armies that they're working on. Now, I paint for my youngest son, but my middle son, he likes kind of doing his own work a little bit. So I just kind of help touch up and give him pointers. which is fun. I love that. It's a great way to spend time with your kids playing games. My oldest boy, he's kind of into it. He keeps teetering back and forth between Mechanicus and World Eaters. I think he's going to go with Mechanicus, even though I have some Warhammers, or I have some World Eater stuff. So we may just paint the World Eater stuff and sell them, which would be fun. It's a critical addiction for life. Yeah, they totally were like, this is, they did not hear anything I said until they started having to pay for it. That's when they started understanding what I was talking about. Because I won't buy their models for them. They have to buy their own. Like, because that's ridiculous. Now I'm going to help you build them, and I'm going to help you learn. I'll buy the core books, and I'll buy all that stuff. That's fine. But you need to learn how to spend your own money, and you need to look at how much money this hobby really costs before you get too broke off in it, because it's expensive. And I can't fund that. Because these boys are semi-competitive. So they're going to want to go play once they get to where they understand the game, they'll want to go play in a competitive way. So they'll want to go to the tournaments and the cons and all that stuff. They're those kind of kids. So it'll be interesting. And they're both pretty slick. My oldest is already, and he may not ever get to the want to play it at the level my middle kid will. He loves this silly game. It's funny. He might love it. He might love it more than I do. I'm a D&D guy, honestly, but this is a whole lot of fun too. I love it. I love military and war, war games and that sort of stuff. It's a whole lot of fun. Okay. Like I said, we're just trying to make sure we've got the basic looks here. It doesn't need to look too clean yet. We're going to blend a lot of stuff later. We're trying to get all the markers down so that we can come back and we can put a wash on it. Let's see if we're getting close to dry on this guy. Not quite. But it does look like we're going to end up needing a second of the dark brown wash. That is a raw umber. So we'll need a second of that. Hello, welcome anybody who's coming in new. I am Pat. This is Pieces Pat Paints. We paint pieces. Today we are painting Tyranids. We're going through all of these silly termagants. And it goes all the way back off that way. I have like 40 of them I gotta make sure are ready for washes. So I am currently going through and inspecting them and getting any places where I need just a little bit more yellow, or maybe I completely missed yellow. I did this with my airbrush earlier, the first round of it, but airbrushes don't always get everything on these tiny little guys, and I was just being real quick about it. So some of these spots got missed, some of them didn't get quite as much paint as I wanted. I was just trying to get it done and going. So I got to come back through and make sure I get everything else ready before I put the washes on. Alright. And then we'll blend them. Eventually they'll look like that guy over there in the corner. Or these guys that are assailing our friend Titus. Feel free to ask any questions, making comments. I love talking. I can talk to myself, but it's always more fun when I'm talking to somebody. I mean, I talk to Steve all the time. Steve is the computer, because that's what we named him. So I talk to him all the time. See, and then he turned on the refrigerator just to annoy us. Dang it, Steve. I need to put that thing on like a timer switch and turn it off for an hour. And then when it kicks back on, be like, oh, that's time to go. So yeah, we usually spend about an hour every weekday here painting. We just work on several different things. It just kind of depends on what we're going to work on. Yesterday we did a Funko Pop. A restaurant in the city needed a Funko Pop blinged out, so we put some drip on it, and he's got a logo and fancy buttons and all that stuff. So that project is good, and happy to report the client is very happy, which is the way we likes it. All right. Like I said, we're just making sure the basic color tone is there. Because we will be, the wash is going to hit the bottoms of it. So as long as there's a little bit of paint for it to get the color effect started, we'll be fine. We just don't want to try to put the wash on a gray, because then when you go back and we start blending the other color on top of it, you won't be able to really tell the difference. You won't have the dimensions. Doing this and then throwing wash on top really helps get the dimensions out. Josh says, I need to slip back into the addiction myself. Really so relaxing. A great way to escape the doldrums of the great. Yes. Yes, escape the doldrums of the day's mind. Sup? Hey, my friend, how are you? Nice to have you stop by. Is that Picazito? BR. Don't know what BR means. But welcome. Really appreciate you stopping by. He said, I am going over all these little guys before I hit them with a wash. Try and get them done so we can have this army to field here at the house. We play a lot of different games here. We just started a Star Wars game with the kids. It's a blast. It's a RPG. Oh. Josh understands. That's awesome. Yeah, Warhammer's a lot of fun. Like I said, my kids really dig it, so I'm gonna, and I like it because I got a painting channel, so I can help. For precision effects, just not show up on your end. Oh, I get it. Sweet. Oh, nice. Yeah. I've got several friends of mine that are Brazilian soccer friends. Oh, the old which Star Wars RPG is it's the old West End. For the 6-sided system from way back in the day. I bought a bunch of stuff when I was younger, and we used to play it. Yep, that's the one where it's the 6-sided system. It's a lot of fun. They did a shootout and off of a pleasure barge orbiting a planet, and they're now trying to outrun the Empire. I think they are at Nar Shaddaa now, or Nar Shaddaa. It'll be fun to see what they do. The kids are all super jazzed to play Star Wars, of course. So we'll see how they do. They play D&D really well, so I think they'll be able to handle this one. Really thinking about starting a vampire campaign, but I gotta find the right kind of people to play that game. That's not a game that everybody should play. And it's not a game you want to play with everybody. Yes, I played that. It was a ship mechanic or something like that. Yeah, ship mechanics are super important in that game. if you can't fix your ship, you're in a big trouble in that particular RPG. It's going to be entertaining. Playing with my kids is some of the most fun I have playing RPGs. They're always have a different approach than what most people do. Okay, how are we doing? Are you ready for our next round of washes? Okay. So I think we only need this Umber wash in a few places. We just want to kind of get, oh, maybe just a little too harsh there. There we go. We just want to get it to hit the right spots. Like I said, you don't want to do this with your good brush. So you want these old nappy ones. These are ones my kids tore up. So when they were younger. So it works out great. I'm like, okay, great, yeah, fine. I'll keep that brush around. I'll use it for applying washes. I like it for the washes because it holds a lot. So it's all frayed out. So it likes to hold the wash itself. I'm just trying to get onto the deepest, darkest shadows of all this. The deepest recesses. Always funny. Yeah, I grew up on old D&D, first ed, and early NES RPGs. Being a dude with a sword was feeling overplayed. I wanted to be an important guy in the room without being a hero. Yeah, that's fun. I am the forever DM. So like I very rarely get to play in any games at all. Which I am not whining. I prefer running them. I've tried to play in other people's games in different times, and they're not always exactly worked out really well. I figure out puzzles too quickly, and so like, and I also sometimes I will override the story too quickly because I will understand where the plot is going before it gets there, and I will push it to where it's supposed to be too fast, and it makes other GMs and DMs very nervous. And so it's not always the most fun to play with me as a player, but I'm a great DM. I tell a good story. I know how to make things exciting. I'm really good on the fly if I have to be. So it's, even if you catch me a little off guard, I won't be off guard for long. I'll have an idea fairly quickly, and we'll be getting right back to business. Which is what I consider to be all great traits of a good GM or DM, depending on your term of preference. Yeah, that second round of wash, you can see how it really is helping us stand out a little bit more this time. This is all said and done. Should look great. We should be able to put the Sienna wash on next. I gotta keep an eye on the time because it is Tuesday, which means I gotta jam out of here pretty close to 2:15. So we are probably gonna start winding down here in just a second. We're looking so good, so cool. I definitely think the inside of his mouth is gonna end up being a blue. Alrighty. Goodness. Alright, I'll set him down. We're going to let him dry again. Alright. Yeah, that's the thing with other DMs. I love being caught off guard as a DM. It means the players are having fun. Yeah, usually if your players are catching you off guard, they're thinking. And that's usually what gets them to have a good time. If people are thinking. And that's in any kind of game, you want people to be thinking and getting them to figure stuff out. I mean, even sports and stuff like that. You have to think to be good at sports, and that's what people like about it. And people like to rattle off all the things that they know about whatever particular game they're into. And it's always got its cultures, and it's always got its thing. It's a lot of fun. I love tabletop games. They're a blast. I play video games too, and I like that, but I think my heart will always be a little bit biased to tabletops. There's just so much more fun that can be had, in my opinion. It's so much more open. And not to say that video games won't get to that point. And then, like I said, it's not to say video games aren't fun. They're just a different kind of fun. It's a different kind of fun to be had with your friends. It's a slower paced kind of deal. If I'm playing a shooter with my friends, then it's going. We're in the lobby for a few minutes, and then we're fighting, and we're talking, and we're having a great time. But when you're playing a role playing game, it's not quite as go. You're not quite as a slave to what's happening with the game itself, and it getting in the way of your time with your people. And since I don't see a lot of people, because I gotta be careful who I get around because of my health and all. The time I get to spend with people is pretty special. So I gotta be, I want to make sure that they're having a good time. They're thinking in them. That is definitely how you want it to happen. If you're telling them the answers to the puzzles, it doesn't make the game any fun. Or, if the puzzles are exactly the same every time, and that's not fun either. There's lots of different things you can do. D&D, it's easy. You just change the amount of monsters, or you add some new traps. That one's an easy fix. But some other games are a little harder. Warhammer here is pretty good about staying different. Every game is a little different, and you have to think because you're trying to outthink an opponent. Similar to chess or checkers, just a lot more advanced, and with cool little things you get to paint, which is a blast. The cool things you get to paint are probably the best part. I don't think it'll get to the point where tabletops allow everyone to mold experiences to potentially no restrictions. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things that technology-wise I didn't think we'd ever see, but eventually, who knows? We might have like holodecks and stuff where it's almost an unreal deal. The closest a video game could get is a VR table chat sim. Yeah, that's... Yeah. That's pretty funny. To me, it's that pacing, too. Eventually, like I said, you might be able to eventually get something like, let's say, a holodeck, where you're programming the parameters of a campaign setting, and then you get to go play in it, or whatever. Theoretically, at that point in time, it's pretty dang immersive. It's more immersive than a tabletop, but you don't have the same pacing. Again, now your pacing is paced at whatever the storyline is. You don't have that moment to pop out of game. I guess you do. You could say freeze computer or whatever, but it's not exactly the same. I think people who play both types of games know what I'm getting at. And that's why I don't think, I was talking about this last week, I don't think something like D&D is going anywhere. You know, this guy wrote this book and I've read a little bit more of it, and he's just not taking into consideration a couple other factors. Josh says, yeah, that's fair. I did see a video where they were able to use AI to create images from brain signals live. Yeah, see, you could get into stuff like that. You could do that theoretically. But again, in order to like stop the game, like get the timeout, and like it literally has to like it would break all of it in a way that isn't like the tabletop does, where, you know, if we're all having a good time, we're just laughing, and then we can kind of we're just taking a break naturally. No one had to say freeze computer for us all to take a break and naturally just kind of, you know, listen to this story that Derek has whatever happened at work last night. You know what I mean? It I don't know. It has that little bit of that guild feeling, that club, you know, where it's you and your guys in your club, you and your friends in your club, you know, our clubhouse, yeah, that kind of thing. A lot of times, even with the online stuff, if you're playing on the online tabletop, it kind of gets that where it's like, oh yeah, this is my game, the game game I run, or the game I'm playing in, or whatever. And it's like, you know, it's like leagues and sports teams too. It's got that same kind of feel, which is awesome. I mean, and you probably know exactly what I mean when I say when I was a kid, there was no way I thought that was ever going to be real. We were nerds. We were like the ultra nerds. You know, we weren't even, for a long time we were super unpopular. Especially if anybody knew you played those kind of games, people were like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" So you had to keep all that stuff on the DL. But now, you know, there's a little bit of the vogue there. But that guy who was talking about D&D is, you know, this other thing is, or this online stuff is going to crush D&D. I don't see that happening. D&D went through a lot of weird stuff in the 90s too. You know, where it almost got completely overrun by, you know, independent companies. You know, people like Vampire the Masquerade. Heck, we all played Vampire or Shadowrun. We all played those games. Those were awesome games. We loved them. And we were all playing those instead of D&D in the 90s. We weren't playing Dungeons & Dragons. I didn't start playing Dungeons & Dragons again until recently. Because it got, you know, 5th Ed came out and everybody was like, oh, it's great. Because, you know, I didn't play 4th Ed because people said it was awful. So I didn't play it. You know. And we were busy playing Vampire at the time. But yeah, the idea that somehow D&D is going to get dethroned by some online thing is pretty ridiculous. Hello, Princess Taffy Toes. She probably has to go outside. And I think we are getting close to 2 o'clock, which is going to be my pumpkin time for today. Because I have got to go get kids and deliver them to yon places and all of that good stuff. We will be back here again tomorrow. The same bat chime. Oh, hello, Georgianne. Got here like right up at the end of my show today. But that's alright. I appreciate seeing you. It's great to see you. So, but yeah, I gotta go get kiddos and all that stuff. We're gonna get back to this guy tomorrow. He's starting to look pretty fierce. I love how he fills up the whole screen. Oh, it's so awesome. He's so cool. Alright, so we're gonna get him all. We're gonna get this one. It's alright. Don't worry about it. I'm glad you came. Josh says, well, it was good seeing you and chatting. Better get to work myself. Thanks for the distraction. Hey, man, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate that, too. And thanks for everybody stopping by. And we also had somebody in from Brazil. Really appreciate that. And our friend from France was back today. So thank you so much, all of my friends who come to see us. We really, really appreciate it. We are going to be back, as I said, tomorrow. And we are going to we're going to put some more washes on him. I might go ahead and wash him tonight. So he'll have a little bit more orangey color when he comes back. He'll look more like this guy when we come back tomorrow. So yeah, I'm going to wash him tonight. So we'll put the washes on and we'll be ready for tomorrow and we can get to blending. And I'll finish working on these termagants when I get home too. And hopefully we can clear them off the table. And if we're really lucky, we can have this whole army or combat patrol done in, maybe by the end of next week. If we're really lucky and we can move on to something else, which will be great. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I really appreciate you stopping by. If you're new to the channel and you liked what we were doing, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us all those things. It really helps. Subscribe is the other word I'm supposed to use. It really helps keep the channel moving. Helps me feel like we're doing something fun and gives me a lot of motivation. So, like I said, I really, really appreciate you coming by. And you have a great day too, Georgia, and really appreciate you. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate everybody who comes by, everybody who shares and spreads this video. I appreciate the folks who watch this who watch us after when we're not live, because I know there's a lot of you folks who do that too. Shout out to you guys. I think that's all I got, and I've got to go put some socks on because it's cold outside, and I got to go get my kids. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel.